Good morning, everyone. Hope this finds you well. We're all well here. Still waiting to hear about dates for schools to open. They seem to keep putting it forward, so we're waiting to see. But in the meantime, we're going to just continue with lessons this way. Today, what we're going to be doing is that transactional writing. Do you remember last term we did the format and layout of a friendly letter? Even though you've done it in primary school, we did revise it. And I don't know if you remember when I said to you that the format and layout is very important, because when you do a letter in any of this transactional writing in an exam, the format is worth at least half of the marks. So you have to pay close attention to how you set the letter out. Today, we're going to be doing a formal letter or a business letter. Now, a formal letter for the students in grade 8 is either to do with a request or with a complaint. And if you get your Explore books and open them to page 111 and then 112, they do give you a very good explanation, but I'm going to just explain it a little bit further. Okay, so a formal letter. The difference between the formal letter and a friendly letter is that if you look, a friendly letter, you have your address up at the top on the right-hand side, and then you start with your letter straight away. Now, with a formal letter, you have your address. Just now I'm going to show you, even though you can see it quite clearly in your books, I will show you and explain in a little bit more detail. Not only do you have your address on the right-hand side, but on the left, you have to put the address of the company or the shop or whatever it is, whoever it is that you are writing to. And then you have to do the greeting, which is Dear Sir, Madam. If you don't know if the person that you are writing to is a man or a woman, you can put Dear Sir / Madam. Then underneath that, you have to put your reference or your topic and you underline it. I'm going to show it to you just now in more detail. Now, in a formal letter, it's generally, if you're complaining, as it says here, about a product or a service you've received, it is formal. So you cannot use contractions like a you that you do on WhatsApp. In fact, you can't use slang. It's formal, so you have to write formally. You do not know, generally, you do not know the person you are writing to, or you don't know them very well. There's a way to write a formal letter and a specific tone, and it must be appropriate. You cannot be slang, you cannot be overly friendly. Obviously, you cannot be overly rude. Generally, if you're rude to someone, they're not going to be as obliging. So you have to temper your letter and write it in a firm and formal way, but in a polite way. So first of all, as any other letter, you have paragraphs. You don't have to start in a formal letter by asking them how they are, etc. That's absolutely not a requirement, because, as I said, you've got to just stick to the point and be formal. The first thing that you do is that you begin by setting out the problem. Just say you're complaining, like in this instance, you're complaining about the content of some program that was on there. So you state what the problem was. I did not like this and this and this. It was done, and then you can do the date, even if it was something that had a specific time. If it was, say, a program which is aired at 1800 hours, you can stipulate that. So that first paragraph, you are talking about the problem, the date and time when it occurred. Then, the second paragraph, you would write about the detail. What didn't you like about it? What did you feel was wrong? What did you feel was inappropriate? And then, and how it made you feel. In fact, I would even say that what was wrong is one paragraph. Then the third paragraph could be about how it made you feel. And then lastly, now obviously it depends on what the topic is. If you've got suggestions on how that problem could be fixed, you can say, I would suggest that you do this, this, and this in future so that this problem does not reoccur. Obviously, if you don't have a solution, you don't have to put a suggestion. And then you end off your ending, which has to be cordial, which means polite, and then your full name. Name, first name, and surname. Because obviously they don't know you. Sometimes you can, if you want a response, you can put your name and your phone number directly underneath it, because then it gives the person a chance to phone you back and respond. Okay, now that is more for a complaint. If you have a request, obviously you also begin, you can begin by just stipulating what you are requesting. Then you go into the next paragraph where you explain in more detail. Then maybe the third paragraph where you're explaining why, etc. you are requesting it. And then, of course, your ending. Now, if you turn over to page 112, you will see there how they've laid it out. I'm going to go onto my own page to show you how it's set out in an actual on your pages. And but if you look, I just wanted to quickly discuss this one that's in your books. You can see that at the top they have, in the top right hand corner is the address. Then on the left they have who is required to read it, which is the manager of the Radio 55 station. And then it says the PO box with the postal code. Then it says, Dear Sir, Madam. Obviously, they don't know if it's a man or a woman, so they put Dear Sir / Madam. Then, can you see they've given the topic or the reference, what it's going to be about, what the letter's going to be about. And in this case, it's about the poor choice of discussion topics on the radio. Obviously, they felt very strongly about the choice of topics. Okay, I'm not going to waste time now reading the thing through, but you can see that in the first paragraph, they did specify the date that it happened, and obviously they were driving to school, and that's when they were listening to the radio. And then they go on to explain a little bit further, and then even more, a little bit further. And then the last paragraph, which is a very short one, they explained how they felt, which was, I felt most insulted by these suggestions, and I hope that some action will be taken. No person has the right to stereotype or to make assumptions. And that's a pretty good explanation of the feeling. And then it ends with yours faithfully and the person's name. Obviously, it has to be a formal ending. Yours faithfully, or if you've made a request, you could put there thanking you in anticipation because you're thanking them for reading your letter, for whatever they are going to do to help you. So, but here it was just yours faithfully with the full name, first name and surname. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to what I've written down, and I'm going to just explain in a little bit more detail. Just